My name is Lorraine Margherita. I'm a professional organizational consultant. I'm based in Paris, even though I like to work international with teams coming from different cultures and countries. I work on what I call collective dynamics and the decision making that sometimes comes along. And beyond the collective intelligence, we work on where and by whom the decisions are made. And I usually work with large corporations with branches in different countries. So leadership teams, managers, sometimes the teams on those collective dynamics. And to see the three different things that I could say about me, and you'll see at the end which one is true. I would start by saying that I started my first business when I was 18. Another idea I can share with you is that my kids have three different passports. And the other idea I can share with you is that the first time I went to a concert, I was actually on stage as a kid.
Fantastic. I can't wait. So should we dive in then? So single best piece of advice and how it's changed you.
Yeah, so before I give you the piece of advice I want to share today, I want to thank you for the opportunity to think about it. Because I actually went back to different periods of my life. I lived in France and in the US twice, and I went through different phases in my career. So it sort of got me to go back to the different phases to think, who was I meeting? What were our conversation about? And what were the best pieces of advice I got along the way? So thank you for that opportunity. It was really a good time to reflect on these. And so the one I picked, the best piece of advice I got was actually when I was very young. I was still a student at the time. And it is something that I've really taken with me all through my different positions, countries, and projects. And that notion is that we are both the creation and the creators of our environment. So it's a very systemic approach, which is something I use with my clients to try to realize what the context is when we work together, what is around them, and to share. If we have different stakeholders, it's important that we all share what we see and what we consider the situation to be. So that's the first part of being the creation of our environment. And when I say that we are the creators, for me, it means that at some point when we have assessed what the situation is, what the constraints are, maybe the market is changing, the clients have expectations. And yet, at some point, each one of us has decisions to make and decisions to own. And so it's a way to say, of course, there are things that you cannot control, you cannot decide. And yet, at some points, it's your choice, individually and collectively, to decide what you do with those circumstances. And so it connects with the work I do with those collective dynamics and the decision making that comes along. So that's the best piece of advice I've ever gotten.
That's great. Thank you. And time for the grand reveal. Which is the one that isn't true and which of the two that are?
So the one that isn't true is that I did not start my first business when I was 18. I was a little older than that. Yet it is true that my kids have three passports because they have a father who has two different nationalities, and I have a third one. So they got all three when they were born. And the third idea that I shared is that I realized that the first time I went to a concert, I was actually on stage because I must have been 8 or 9 years old. I was a student in a music school, and they needed a lot of people in the choir, so they hired everyone they could sing. And I was part of that concert, and it was the first time I went to a show.
Fantastic. Thank you. Now, if people wanted to get into contact, what kind of contact would be mutually beneficial? How would they go about doing that?
So they have three ways to contact me. The easiest way, I guess, is to connect with me on LinkedIn and to access the page where you can book a call with me. It's also possible on my website, codynamics.net. And I guess the third place where they can sort of meet me is the page for my book. I wrote a book last year about decision making, which is called Shared Decision Making in the Corporate Arena, which is a sort of a journey through countries, industries, organizations where we find different ways to get the teams to make more decisions. So that's also another way to connect with me. I'm always happy to talk about these topics.
Perfect. Thank you. Really appreciate your time. Have a great day.
Thank you very much, Dan. Thank you.